RNC Chairman Michael Whatley, still in New York, joins us here on set. And good morning to you, sir. Nice to have you in. We scour the early vote returns from just about every battleground state every hour of every day. Here is how your counterpart, Jennifer O'Malley Dillon, sees this right now for the Democrats and Kamala Harris on the early vote.
We're seeing strong turnout, our margins are strong, and the folks that we're focused on, those lower propensity voters that don't always vote, they're tuning in and they're showing up at a higher level in support of the vice president.
Now, your witness, sir. How do you see it?
We see a very strong early vote turnout. We see strong in the absentee ballots across the country right now. We are way ahead of where we were in 2016 or in 2020. Right now, it looks, when you combine the early vote and the absentee votes, we're going to have an outright win in North Carolina going into Election Day. The same thing in Nevada, same thing in Arizona. So these numbers that we're looking at, the real metrics, we like what we're seeing. It puts us in a very good position to win this thing on Election Day, and we're going to work every single day.
Just to be clear, you're saying going into Election Day, you will have an outright lead?
That's what it looks like
in
right
North
now.
Carolina.
North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada.
Arizona, Nevada. Okay, we'll watch that.
That's really interesting. Can you pull up call for number 4? This is a map of states that President Trump has visited in the last week. So some of them we talk about all the time, right? The ones that you just mentioned. But there's a couple of others here, including Texas. We understand that was the Joe Rogan interview. But also New York City. Now, he was here, big event. Is New York City on your map as a possible win for President
So what I would
Trump?
say is this was a concert for America, right?
Right.
I mean, this truly was a rally that talked to all of American people all across the country. We had every single network there, not just from America, but all around the world. The press credentials that we had to give out for that rally yesterday were almost as big as they were for the convention. And so this was really a conversation that we had, that Donald Trump had with all of America yesterday from Madison Square Garden. And it was a homecoming. I think it was a great opportunity for him to be here. There is nothing more iconic. He grew up here. There's nothing more iconic than Madison Square Garden. I mean, look, we have congressional races that we really, truly need to win here in New York.
You think that this, and how do those look? Those are very close, and
They're all very
it could
close,
determine
and this
the
will.
balance of power in the House.
Totally agree, right? But the rally itself, this was about America, and this was about talking to every American voter, every American family, and that's really what he and J.D. Vance are doing over the course of these next 8 days, is they're going to be out in every battleground state having those conversations directly with American voters.
When you try and analyze the early vote, how do you answer this question? Some say it's just a vote that was going to be in your column anyway, and it just came in at an earlier stage.
Yeah, what we're seeing right now is we are not cannibalizing our Election Day votes. We're very excited about the numbers that we're seeing of people that did not vote in 2020. For example, in Nevada, 16% of our early voters did not vote in 2020. North Carolina, that number is 18%. We're seeing all across the country right now that people who have not participated before are coming in. These are the low propensity voters, new voters that are coming into the system. So we're not cannibalizing the Election Day voting, which is very.
What would you say about Democrats and their numbers?
We'll have to let them kind of analyze their own numbers at this point in time. What I will say is this: in every single battleground state that has voting taking place right now, we are doing better than we did in 2016 or in 2020.
Part of the reason could be, call for number 3, please. This is Trump chipping away at the Democrats' hold on some longtime voting blocks. Blacks, with Harris, she's down 13. Hispanics, she's down 18. Jewish voters, she's down 8. And here, even in New York, as we mentioned, she's down 10. And just looking at this, people can look at the rally last night and have different opinions about it, right? And say, like, why'd you need the comedian? Okay, didn't need that, like, unforced error. But I feel like tactically, the Trump campaign keeps beating her campaign to the ball. And I think these voters in these different groups are starting to notice that. And when you look back on Election Day, when we have you back to do analysis on no matter how it goes, I mean, no matter what, that is a change of ideological and other types of diversity for the Republican Party going forward.
It's really significant, and it's based on the fact that Donald Trump is talking to those voters about the issues that they care about. There is no issue across the country that resonates more than inflation, with grocery prices, gasoline prices, housing prices that have gone up 20, 25, even 50% for gasoline under Kamala Harris and her administration, because she cast the tie-breaking vote on $2.5 trillion worth of inflationary spending. So when Donald Trump addresses those concerns and says, I'm going to bring prices down, when he says, I'm going to end the invasion that we have coming across our southern border and we're going to protect Americans, then people are resonating with that. And we're seeing it in every one of those communities because they're affected the same way that every community across the country is.
I want to play this clip here. This is a closing argument ad that apparently aired during a lot of the NFL football games on Sunday. There's a clip of this now.
We're going to make America great again.
I will fight for you with every breath, and I will never let you down. I'm gonna fight like a chief.
So that ad goes on, and with the remaining 8 days, what should we expect from that closing argument, and where will it be delivered?
Yeah, look, the closing argument is going to be that Donald Trump is going to secure our southern border, he's going to restore our economy, and he's going to make America strong so that we can protect our interests and our allies across the world. It is remarkable to me. 9 years ago, just a few blocks from here, he came down that escalator, said he was going to make America great again by doing those three things, by securing the southern border, restoring our economy, and making sure that we're strong enough to protect America and our allies. Very consistent that he has been there since day one, trying to make America great. Kamala Harris and her campaign are flailing right now. She is in free fall because they don't have a closing argument. For them to try these ridiculous tropes and insults that they're attacking the president with right now just shows you how weak their campaign is, and they are not closing with a good argument.
Okay, we'll see who's right in the end. Right?
I mean, there were some pretty tough words about her last night, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. Nobody called her a fascist, but they called her a few other things.
Look, the key is that she is the one, as the borders are, who let 15 million illegal immigrants into this country and poses a direct threat to America. And she is the one that cast the tie-breaking vote on $2.5 trillion worth of unnecessary spending, which sent inflation, housing prices, gasoline prices, and grocery prices through the roof. That's the argument.
And voters have been saying from the beginning, it's the economy, and they haven't been able to close on it. All right, well, we'll see what
Thank
they
you,
do.
sir.
Thanks
Nice
for
to
being
see
here.
you.
Great to see you guys.
All right, Michael Whatley, head of the RNC.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.